Boxing Casuals.
Hello guys, welcome back after a long leave of absence. Welcome back to the Boxing Casuals. My name's Sam and I'm joined as ever by Chris.
Yeah, it's been a little while, but yeah, we've been busy. Life gets in the way, unfortunately, but we're back.
Yep, guys, we're life happens, things happen, but the boxing never does stop. So we've got plenty to chat about. We've got the Bivol fight, which happened this Saturday. I think where was it? Where was it based? It was in Saudi, wasn't it? Oh, no, it was Abu Dhabi. Was it
Abu Dhabi in the Etihad Arena?
Yeah, it's quite an occasion and a good card and main event brilliant. Bivol really did well. I think.
Stadium wasn't quite as full as you'd hope it to be, but you already know that the Abu Dhabi, the princes and the sheiks paid big bucks for that fight, so I'm sure they made a killing on it. But yeah, I mean, the fight itself, Bivol showed his levels, didn't he? Showed his class. Showed why he's one of the top guys in the division, and probably one of the top guys in the pound-for-pound list right now.
I think he should be.
Yeah, definitely. What did you make of the fight?
Well, yeah. There's a few subjects that I wanted to go into with the fight. I mean, namely with his opponent being like literally the size of a heavyweight somehow. You know, I don't know how he boiled down to what was it, light heavy, so about 12 stone. I don't know how he boiled down to that.
Yeah.
In the 24 hours he had to rehydrate, he certainly did rehydrate.
Yeah,
but anyway,
sure.
The fight itself, Bivol was the smaller guy, but he controlled the range. Whenever Ramirez tried to step into range, he just bounced back out. And when he was very hard to hit. He let his hands go a few times, and it was lightning fast in the combos as well. Like when you watch it back, you'd have 5 or 6 little pops in there that you didn't necessarily see.
It was it was a good fight. It was. I've seen a lot of Zudro's fights in the past, and he's let his hands go a bit more. He seems a little bit flustered in there. You know, he'd get Bivol in some corners, and you know he's a very consistent body puncher. You didn't see too much of that from him on the weekend, which is kind of disappointing. You makes you think whether he was flustered by the opportunity or just froze in the moment, but there wasn't too much activity from him, which is again disappointing. He normally brings that Mexican style, come forward, pressure, throw punches to the body, trap his opponents in the corners. But yeah, obviously it didn't help that Dimitri Bivol was on the balls of his feet for 12 rounds and his stamina just doesn't seem to wane. But no, overall Bivol showed the class, showed the levels, in and out movement, jabs, 1-2s, accurate punches, no wasted punches. Things we've seen from Bivol in the past. People kind of find it kind of boring at times, but when you're class, you don't need to take risks, you don't need to take chances, do you?
No, I think he's a boxing fan's boxer. You know, he's not going to be
sort
of casual, friendly fighter where he's not a Canelo, but he did beat Canelo. So
that's right. But the thing is, if he keeps notching off the big names onto his resume, Canelo. Ramirez had somewhat of a following because he's a Mexican come forward 44-0 fighter. If he beats Artur Beterbiev in the coming year, people will want to watch him, regardless of whether he's boring or whether he's too not basic, but he does the basics really well. Whether he's not a flashy, a finisher, but for sure people will still want to watch him because he would have built that following. So all praise to him.
Do you reckon he beats Beterbiev? That's a hot ticket.
The thing about Beterbiev is he is a come forward pressure fighter, but the guy can box as well. He can box when he needs to. You saw that in the last fight when he fought Joe Smith Jr. Joe Smith Jr. is something like a Beterbiev B or a light Beterbiev come forward pressure fighter. Not a lot of skill, but you saw the levels Beterbiev was able to box for the first couple of rounds, impose his jab, show his class, and then ultimately stop Joe, quite early in the fight, maybe 4th or 5th round, I can't quite remember exactly, but if he was to fight Bivol, it's an interesting one. We saw Bivol's stamina didn't wane over the whole 12 rounds, and he went the 12 rounds of Canelo, Canelo is something of a pressure fighter himself. Normally you see pressure fighters, normally you see boxers like Bivol, their stamina drains after. You saw it on the one of the fights before, Rakimov and Zalfa Barrett. He was good up for the first 9 rounds, and his stamina just drained after all that pressure, and he was stopped. That's what normally happens, but it will be a good fight for sure. That punching power Beterbiev has, something to behold.
But you got to get caught. But you got to get caught by it. My money's on Bivol at this stage. Obviously, that's subject to change. The fight's not even made yet, but I think ring generalman. I can't say the word.
Generalship.
Ring generalship. Thank you. Will play into this massively. I think being able to dictate the pace, dictate the range, everything like that. And I think Bivol has got that in his arsenal.
He has. The thing, but although on the counter to that, Beterbiev is good at cutting the ring off. He can trap you in corners. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll also got to take into account that Beterbiev is the wrong side of 30. He's near almost 40 years old. By the time the fight happens, he possibly could be 38, I think. So that's something to take into account. But these Russian guys that you see fighting, they're just a different breed, really, aren't they? They don't seem to run out of energy.
Yeah, they go on forever. It was interesting to see. I don't know if you noticed it, but speaking of the Russian, obviously what's going on with the conflict, we don't want to get too political on this. But when the fighters were announced, the Mexican fighter was, Ramirez was from Mexico, and Bivol was from the blue corner. It was obviously it's sanctionings and that kind of thing.
Well, the WBA said, I think one of their rulings when this all first kicked off is that they weren't allowed to have any Russian flags or announce that where they were from. So that's why that was. And obviously the WBA was the title that was on the line. So
I think they snuck a Russian flag in. If you look I noticed it in the changing room. They had one on the wall, and I think someone lost their job as they were panning across. But definitely.
But the thing, Bivol, he's part, I think, South Korean. He's also part Kyrgyzstan. So it's not exclusively Russian. It kind of makes you wonder if he carries other flags around with him. But hey, that's neither here nor there.
That's another topic, and we don't want to get in any trouble with this. So albeit. But I did, before we sort of move on, like obviously that, and we'll talk about the card. But my point about Ramirez and that clearly, maybe
he was a big boy, wasn't he?
But do you not think that what you're saying about how he looked a bit sort of sluggish, could that not be something to do with the amount of weight he's
maybe cut? Sure. I mean, but the thing is, he in his past fights, he was a 168-pound fighter up until 4 or 5 fights ago, which is the division south of light heavyweight, and that's where he built his name as a pressure fighter. So he's cutting less weight. Unless, of course, his walk-around weight has gone up since he's been at light heavyweight.
He just looked too big. He looked like if not a cruiser, then a small heavyweight is what he looked like.
Oh, no, yeah, he looked, for sure. He's massive. Yeah, he's big. He was definitely over 200 pounds in the night. Didn't help him much, though, did it?
But in the grander scheme of things, is that not some sort of flaw in that system? Because, all right, people, and I'm sure loads of boxers do it to gain an advantage over their opponent, because they'll. There was that book that I mentioned to you. It was on Audible. I'll grab the name of it.
Making the Weight, wasn't it?
Yeah, Making the Weight. It was by Barry J. White. And he goes into it. But a lot of boxers openly sort of do that. They're not. I don't think you're allowed to say that you're doing these cuts. But a lot of boxers would prefer, if they were like naturally a light heavy, they would prefer to go in at super middle or middle and just cut that weight and then gain it back with the 24 hours they've got to rehydrate.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is that not dangerous? All right, in this instance, it was all right. But,
I'm sure. The thing is, I'm sure if every boxer fought at the weight they walked around at, then they would. But they're not going to. So if someone's going to get an advantage over the other, then it's going to be the opponent or whoever they're going to be at disadvantage. So yeah, it's silly. Some of the boxers, how much weight they cut, it's unbelievable. You see it in the
Because then
UFC
you
as
don't get
well.
punched in the head loads if you're dehydrated as well. Like,
Yeah.
look, I'm not a boxer. Or maybe this is just me overanalyzing, but
It's true.
in that situation, Bivol was fine. But let's say Bivol was an older fighter towards the end of his career and that bloke did that. That could be a very different story.
No, I agree. But yeah, he was a big boy, that's for sure. But like I said, I wish, I am in the camp with you. I wish more fighters would fight nearer their walk around weight, just to not get this advantage over the fighters. It kind of makes you think, like, are they not confident in their own abilities to, fight at those weights? But again, like I say, if one fighter's not taking the advantage, then another fighter will. So,
well, I guess it's that knock-on effect. It's like all these, now that all the steroid usage has come to light, people are coming out and saying, I'm not going to quote anyone, but that everyone's on it. A high percentage of athletes are on it, and the reason that they're on it in boxing is because everyone else is on it. So they need, because it's at the moment the way that the banning system works, 6-month ban. It's an affordable risk to take in order to get an edge. If everyone else is doing it, they're seeing it that way.
To quote one of my favorite UFC fighters, everybody's on steroids. No, but I'm sure it's a difficult one to say. But I don't want to put out a hot take out there. But I'm quite sure a lot of these fighters out there, they're getting around the system somehow. Anyway, we don't want to dwell on that. So we move on to the undercard. We'll just touch on the undercard. There was a great undisputed fight at 140 for the women and the women's divisions. So Jessica McCaskill against Chantel Cameron. McCaskill coming down from 147, where she already is an undisputed champion, to fight for the undisputed at 140 with Chantel Cameron. It was a good fight, entertaining fight. Again, it's one of those fights where you wish there was 3-minute rounds, and you wish it was 12 rounds, but it wasn't. So it kind of makes it a bit dull.
Yeah, well, that's it. I don't know, like women's boxing, I love watching the sport, but I'm in a camp, because some of the actual fighters themselves don't want 3-minute rounds still. They still want 2-minute rounds.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if you're going to get paid for 10 2-minute rounds, then why would you want an extra minute on each round plus another 2 more rounds? So I suppose the argument is put the money up, put the rounds up. But
I think as it gets more developed as a pro sport and it becomes more and more normalised, they will adapt the training styles a bit more to these 2-minute rounds. But at the moment, there's quite a few times where I've been left thinking, another 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Another 45, you're just getting into a rhythm with something,
No, I know. Also, sometimes you think if there was an extra minute in each round, you'd see more knockouts. Sometimes the fighters get hurt, sometimes fighters get hurt in the last 10 seconds of the round and can't finish the job off. So yeah, you kind of wish there was a bit more time on each of these rounds just for them to sort of see it through. But anyway, from the fight, Chantel looks pretty sensational for the first 7-8 rounds, making McCaskill look pretty average, pretty bang basic. She was winging wide shots, winging wide hooks. So Chantel seemed to have that one locked up pretty early in the fight. McCaskill did make something of a comeback in the last 8th, 9th and 10th, but it gets a little too late then. The fight kind of already slips away.
Yeah, I agree. It was worth a watch, and like I said, I'm never not entertained with women's boxing. It's always, I've not had many dull fights. So yeah, just onwards and upwards, I say. Onwards and upwards.
The Boxing Casuals.